So my sister, today, excluded me from her wedding because she's telling me that it's too nice for my appearance. I don't know what she means by that, but there's no invitation in the mail and the wedding's just around the corner, so I guess it's happening. I'm truly not invited, but there's one thing about it. I know a secret that she doesn't want anyone to tell, and I think I'm going to tell everybody.
It's no news that life is not fair. I'd learned this as early as 5 years of age when my older sister Natalie broke her toy and stole mine, and my parents did nothing about it. Rather than chiding her, at least getting my toy back, they sat me down and told me how sometimes we had to sacrifice for the happiness of others. Well, suffice to say that I've been sacrificing for the happiness of my sister all my life. From giving her the pearl handle hairbrush my grandmother got me for my 9th birthday to being her errand girl. I can't count how many times I've helped her deliver love notes to her horde of admirers. That was the job I probably hated the most. Natalie is a prom queen material, while I'm more suited to cast for the role of Shrek's mother. Where Natalie was blonde and willowy with curves that would make a model green with envy, I was short, fat with mousy hair. On days my mother Claire was in a good mood, she would call me chubby. Pretty bowed a place on the stark reality. I might have believed her earlier on, but it did not take long to find out the truth of how the world really sees me. Natalie's boyfriends have never hesitated to remind me of just how different I was from Natalie. Every time I was sent to deliver those cursed love notes, Natalie would demand that I wait to get the response. So I would deliver the letter and try to make myself invisible as I waited for the guy to pin down his response. Perhaps it was because of my invisibility. Or perhaps it was because they were egotistical. Arrogant teenagers who thought that the world revolved around them. For whatever reason known to them, Natalie's boyfriend and his friends always used that moment to produce a textbook-worthy, note on how unbelievable it was that I was related to a goddess like Natalie. When I complained to Natalie about this crass comment her boyfriend and his friends were always making, she smiled in a patronizing way, patted my head like I was some kind of puppy, and told me that it would do me good to develop a thick skin early. And that was what I did. I developed a thicker skin and accepted that I would never be loved like my sister. I accepted that as long as Natalie was my sister, guys would always overlook me. I came to terms with the fact that as long as Natalie was in my life, the only thing I was deserving of, at least in the sight of our family and her friends, was second best. Perhaps this should have made me hate Natalie. I'll admit that I have considered it, but two things held me back. Firstly, no amount of hatred could tip the odds in my favor. Natalie is beautiful, and everyone knows that it's beauty that rules the world. Well, I mean, you can literally get away with anything when you're beautiful. Secondly, as much as a diva Natalie is, she's still my sister, my only sibling. She's the only one I have, and that should count for something. However, after what happened this evening, I'm wondering if I overindulged her, much to my detriment. Perhaps if I had refused her all those times she ran over me, she wouldn't have done what she did this evening. Every month, our parents, Gary and Claire, go on a date, and it's always on the third Saturday. With them gone, Natalie and I did whatever we wanted. Or rather, I should say, Natalie ran the roost, while I did my best to stay out of her way. This time, however, she decides to throw a party. And much to my surprise, I was invited. I'm not exactly a fan of Natalie's friends, but for this rare opportunity of being included in Natalie's circle, I was ready to put up with it. Everything was going all right as blending into the wall could be, but I didn't mind it. There was food, there was booze, so I was content. Never in all my imagination was I expecting Natalie to come at me and set out to embarrass me out of the blue. I was just getting started on my third slice of cake when Natalie walked up to me, looked at the cake, and then looked at me with disdain, curled her lips. She then asked me if I was planning on gobbling down the whole table. She asked in a very loud voice that grabbed the attention of everyone around, and before I could come up with a smart reply, she went on to announce, because with how loud her voice was, it could only be an announcement she was aiming for, that everybody knew how pathetic I was. Living on her money because I was too ugly and stupid to do anything good with my life. I asked her what exactly she meant by making such a statement. She replied that she was talking about the $5,000 I stole from her. Guys, nobody could have been more shocked than I was, and it was not because my crime had been found out, no. I was shocked because I had no idea she had such an amount of money. Natalie and I could have been strangers living under the same roof with the little amount of knowledge that I had about her. I managed to sputter some unintelligible argument, but everybody was already too busy laughing to hear what I said. Pleased by the outcome, Natalie went on a call on me to, well, she said some very unsavory names. I just took her insults in complete silence. Until, she grabbed a glass of liquor, poured it on my face, and called me, quote, the disappointing surprise. When we were younger, our parents told us how they had only wanted one child, and how they had not been expecting another, well, when I came along. After that, whenever Natalie was throwing one of her fits of rage, she deemed me the perfect candidate to unleash it on. She would go about calling me the disappointing surprise of our parents and the one they never should have had. That one was a mistake. This evening, when she called me that, I saw red. For the first time in my life, my blood ran hot, and it felt that statement was the proverbial needle that broke the camel's back. I grabbed her by the dress, snatched the nearest glass of wine my hand could reach, and doused her with it. Natalie grabbed my hair, and I did the same. Soon we were rolling on the floor, and everybody was busy throwing plates and drinks at each other to try to split us up. By the time the fight finally broke up, I was sporting a cut on my face from a shard of glass that flew past and was bleeding like a stuck pig. A few minutes later, our parents arrived at this disheveled house. They took one look around and immediately turned to Natalie to ask what happened. Even though my cut literally painted my face in red that could not be missed, I could as well as been absent from the living room. But the way my parents didn't bother asking my side of the story, and just went on to swallow Natalie's story hook, line, and sinker, even though it was all lies, like the manipulative diva that she is. Natalie concocted a tale so wild my jaw nearly dropped on the floor. She told our parents that I tried to vandalize the party she threw for herself and her friends because I was jealous and angry they didn't invite me, and that I got the cut while trying to run away from them after destroying a lot of their stuff. I have lived with Natalie for about 20 years, and I still didn't know how she makes up such wild tales at the wink of an eye, nor do I understand how my parents never failed to believe every single one of them. When they heard that, my parents demanded that I apologize to both my sister and her friends, and then I was to replace everything I damaged. They asked Natalie how much their stuff I destroyed, and you won't believe how much Natalie called. $5,000! Yeah, that's right. Natalie needs $5,000, and she has decided that I was going to be the supplier. My parents then demanded that I produce the money in a week. Done with their say, they dismissed me to my room like I was a rebellious teenager, while Natalie looked on with this smug expression, and based on their actions tonight, it's obvious that my parents see only Natalie as their child, while I remain the one they don't want. I'm tired of being treated this way by people who are supposed to be my family. Natalie's actions already hurt a lot, but my parents' favoritism, especially their actions tonight, hurt the most. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make them see me for who I truly am. I don't know how to get Natalie to stop treating me like trash. What do you think that I should do? Update number 1. It's been exactly 1 day. Hey, thank you for the amazing way that you all rallied around me with all your support. You're giving in to me a lot to think about, but while I'm still trying to decide on what to do about my family, something else happened this afternoon. Since my parents were so busy last night chastising me for an offense that did not even exist, that they completely forgot that I had cut that needed treatment, I was left to take care of myself. I have a cut. Between my tears and the tap water in the bathroom, I don't know which one washed the cut more. Either way, I washed my cut and managed to bandage the cut as well as I could. Then this afternoon, Natalie's fiancé, Bruce, came over to take Natalie out on a date. If there was anything Natalie got right, it was meeting Bruce. Bruce, who was so committed he was willing to marry. None of Natalie's past boyfriends were ever committed. Bryce, the only boyfriend of Natalie who treated me as a person who would take me to visit with me whenever he came over. When he saw the bandage as well as how subdued I was, he immediately started interrogating me about how I got such a big injury. According to Natalie, Bruce had been away from town for the last 2 days, attending to some family business, so he had not been at the party last night.
Not wanting to rehash the gory tale, I simply told him that I slipped and cut myself on a shard of glass. He asked if I had been to the hospital. I told him no, and immediately he asked to see it. Since he was, a medical personnel, I didn't hesitate to unwrap the bandage. I trusted that he would know what to do, plus the faster he looks at it, the faster he can stop fussing over me. I've never been fussed over, so his concern, while appreciated, always feels uncomfortable. Just as he was telling me that the cut needed stitches and not mere bandages, that's when Natalie walked in. However, it looked to her. Bruce bending over my face and me looking up at it, it irritated her. Of course, she hid it well from Bruce. With a fake bright smile, you could almost think that she was genuinely happy. But I've lived with Natalie for so long. At least in this, I knew her, and I knew that she was infuriated by the way Bruce was being kind to me. Even if I was in doubt, her next actions confirmed it. She hurried to Bruce, grabbed his arm, and literally dragged him away from me. When Bruce began to make a protest about how he still needed to look at the wound, she went all, "You don't mind her, she just likes looking for attention" mode. When that didn't do the trick, she exclaimed just how late they were running, and Bruce had no other option than to allow himself to be dragged out the door. Well, guys, it's been 3 hours since then, and Natalie is yet to be back, and one thing I know is that when she finally comes back, she'll find a way to make me pay. What should I do? I don't know, but the look in her eyes when she came down to Bruce assured me that there would be hell to pay. I don't know how to save myself from her wrath. Are you guys going to give me any sort of suggestions? Update number 2. It's only been a day later, and here we are. Hello, everyone. Now, I think that it is one thing to be expecting something and quite another to experience it. In my last post, I explained how my sister was annoyed by the care her fiancé was giving, and how sure I was that she was going to make me pay. Well, I was right, but I never expected just how vindictive Natalie would be. Last night, after she arrived home, she called us together, saying that there had been a development in her wedding. Well, she even got to our other family members on Skype, and of course everybody was excited to learn of this new development. I may not have been as excited as my parents, but I was curious. Then, without so much as, you would please, she went on to announce that she no longer wants me to be present at her wedding. Of all the thoughts to ever cross my mind as a punishment for what I did, I was not expecting that Natalie would choose to uninvite me from her wedding. To make it all worse, she did not even try to be diplomatic at all. When our mother asked her what brought about this decision, she said something about Bruce being nice to me, because he's always been a sucker for stray cats and pitiful mutts, but that she did not trust me to try to get my manipulative claws in him and snatch him away from me. Oh, she then went on to paint what happened yesterday in a light that painted me as a husband snatcher. She made it seem like I tried milking my injury just to get Bruce in a compromising situation. And then she went all, "Prevention is better than cure." What? And much to my dismay, my parents laughed like Natalie just cracked some funny joke. With her laughter, they made it clear that they support Natalie's decision, just like they did when Natalie announced that she didn't want me at her bridal train. As far as they were concerned, Natalie was perfect while I was the bumbling disgrace, and Natalie was irreplaceable, and I wouldn't even be missed if I were to disappear off the face of the earth. This incident, more than their actions after Natalie's party, has opened my eyes to the truth. I'm not valued here, and the quicker I come to terms with this, the better off I'll be. I acknowledge now that things have been sacrificing myself on the altar of Natalie's whims. Not speaking up and fighting for my rights were a miserable attempt on my part to try to get them to appreciate me. Well, they've shown that they'll never appreciate me. They're not willing to treat me with a little human kindness, and it's best if I treat them with the same hand that they've been dealing with me. I'm wondering how they would react when they find out that I hold in my hand what can stop the wedding altogether. How would Natalie react? Will she still be smug about the things that she's been doing to me? Update number 3. It's been 2 days. Hello. Well, most of you have been asking to know what exactly I have on my sister that would be capable of stopping the wedding. So here I am to share it. It's been a month and I was out on a walk when I came upon Natalie standing very close to a guy in front of a house a few blocks from ours. I recognized the guy to be Bruce's best friend, old Jeremy.
Immediately, I slowed my pace and for an unexplainable reason found a place where I could hide, but still watch them. I just crouched behind a bush when they started kissing. That's right, my sister was kissing face with her fiance's bestest buddy. When I thought that it was all going to be true, well, Jeremy wrapped his arms around her legs and carried her into the house like a trophy. My curious mind carried my feet to the house, and I was soon peeping through the front window. What I saw almost made me drop my phone. Not only were they still kissing, but they were progressing past first base. The same unexplainable reason that pushed me to hide pushed me to unlock my phone and video it. Not much, but enough that it was capable of revealing the truth to whoever watches it. And by the time I finished video them, I was so disheartened by the things that I had just witnessed, I couldn't come to walk, so I returned home. That evening, I considered sending the video to Bruce, but the thought of how devastated Natalie would be if Bruce could break up with her had me second-guessing my decision. Finally, I decided to simply keep the video, hoping and praying that Natalie would have let it go, all of her bad character once she married Bruce. To think that I've been protecting her despite the horrible way she treats me, well, now I have learned that she's not worth protecting. If Natalie has a video as destructive as the one I have of her, she'll not hesitate to share it with our family, her friends, and practically the whole world. Anything to embarrass and demean me. You know, I think it's time for the truth to come out. If there's anything that these past days have shown me, it's that Natalie would never change. Not with our parents enabling her behavior, and so I'm considering sending the video to Bruce. If not for anything, Bruce deserves to know the truth about the kind of woman he would be marrying. He deserves to know that Natalie is not who he thinks she is. She's manipulative, she's a liar and a cheat. It's the least that I can do for the only person who has been nice to me, or do you not think so? It's not like I'm planning on embarrassing her before the whole world. I'm just done covering the truth. I'm done being an enabler of Natalie's rotten character. Besides, it's about time for Natalie to start facing the consequences of her actions. But what do you think? Do you agree that this secret should not be hidden anymore? Or do you think that I should just walk away and let Natalie be? Update number 4. It's been 2 days. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the massive support you've been sending my way. Even though I already decided to send the video to Bruce, your support gave me courage I did not know I needed. This morning, I forwarded the video to Bruce, and I told him that he deserved to know the truth because he deserved better. When I saw his reply, "Thank you," I knew that things were not going to be good. Bruce has never been the kind who even replies with a one-word answer. So seeing that response was like seeing the eye of the storm, the quiet before the destruction. I was either going to end up being, well, tarred with feathers and dragged through the town square, or Natalie was about to get what was due to her. Either way, I knew things were about to get messy, so I immediately went out of the house and headed to my friend Vivi's. I had something important to ask her, and this time seemed like the best time to do it, and I'm glad I did. I just arrived at my friend's place when my phone starts vibrating with a lot of messages. Just like I expected, it was Natalie blowing up our family group page with messages. She stated with much tears and drama that Bruce had just broken up with her and called off the wedding. Just in case we need proof, she sent in the recording of the call between her and Bruce, and in the call, Bruce made it clear that he never wanted to see her ever again. He was also like, thanks to me, he finally knows the truth and would not be marrying Natalie, and when I heard that, I was even more grateful that I left. Even with the distance between us, Natalie was already spewing threats at me in the group. Our parents also went on to express their disapproval of what I did. Not that they exactly knew what I did, but I doubt that that would make a difference to them because in their eyes, I was the hateful sister who ruined my better sister's future. They let me know that I was to report to the house ASAP to come and defend myself before them. The reaction didn't even bother me. They've proven time and time again that they always stand by Nat. Even if it means throwing me under a bus, and a couple other family members expressed their disappointment in me. In the end, the two things I feared ended up happening. Natalie did end up getting what was due to her, and Bruce broke up with her, but it's obvious that I won't be going unscathed. My family's out for blood, my blood, and I know that there's no escaping it, but it can be delayed. So I'm still at my friend's place, hiding for my life, and despite it all, I do not regret what I did. In all honesty, I think this is long overdue. I mean, am I wrong? Update 5, 3 days later. Hello, everybody.
It's been 2 days since I decided to take charge of my life and stop allowing my family, especially my sister, to run over me. 2 days since I stopped my sister's wedding, to be honest. Well, how do I feel? My mind is yet to wrap itself around the enormity of what I did. Just as my parents promised, they were all waiting for me when I got back home. By all, I mean all my extended family. I walked into a room full of angry, expectant faces and my parents' aunts and uncles and cousins. They were all there waiting for me to apologize and grovel at Natalie's feet. As soon as I stepped through the threshold of Natalie, she charged at me, knocking me to the ground. She grabbed my hair and pulled, and I did the same. We had repeated of the night at the party, rolling around the floor, fighting and screaming. Finally, one of my aunts, Aunt Rose, pried us apart and broke the fight. My parents demanded that I apologize to Natalie for ruining her wedding and promised to fix things. Natalie told me that I had to call Bruce and tell him that the video was photoshopped. She said that I owed her that much. If she had not been so serious, it would have been hilarious. The other family members clamored at me to fix it. When I was given a chance to talk, I simply shook my head. Without words, I gave them my response. To say they were shocked would be an understatement. For the first time since they've known me, I was saying no. I was refusing to do as they demanded, and you should have seen Natalie. She almost looked like she was about to have a epilepsy fit. Leaving them in their stunned daze, I went up to my room, grabbed my luggage, and, I went the night before and packed it. And by the time I got back down to the living room, I'd found my voice. So I told them I would not be apologizing to Natalie, nor would I be fixing a thing. There were a lot of things that rushed through my mind to say to them, but I realized that it would be wasted on them, so instead, I simply told them that I am moving out, and that they should not expect to hear from me again, and I really mean it. Perhaps it might make them see reason. I doubt it. Either way, I was not moving out because of them. No, I was moving out for myself. I was moving out because I finally recognized that I deserved to have my life. In case you're wondering about the place I now call my home, the answer is quite simple. 2 days after I went to Vivi's place, I asked her if I could move in with her. She has an idea of the trashy way Natalie and my parents treat me, so she was happy to make me her roommate. It's been 2 days since then, and although I'm not quite where I'm meant to be, I've started on the right foot. Once again, thank you for the immense support.